Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another episode of Agufish, and this is a special episode because NAMM 2024 is nigh. Ibanez is the first big player to drop their 2024 lineup, and in typical Ibanez fashion, there's a lot to discuss. And I'm not just talking about the length of the names. We've got new models you'd expect from Ibanez, as well as some very welcome surprises, and I say that as someone who generally respects Ibanez, but isn't totally in love with the guitars. So smack a like on the video if you're going to enjoy it. That actually massively helps blow the algorithm wins in our favor more than you might think. And let's take a closer look at Ibanez's 2024 lineup. Let's start with what I'd consider the biggest talking point. We all have friends who started on an Ibanez Geo. Maybe you are that friends. It's Ibanez's entry-level metal focus line, and this year it's been shown a lot of love with 6 new additions. The one that stood out first was the GR330EX. I fucking swear, man, this video is gonna be double as long just because of the names. When I make jokes like that, by the way, for some reason people think I'm legitimately getting mad at Ibanez's nonsense. Listen, I know if you know the secret formula, the names make sense. That doesn't change the fact that some of them are just so ridiculous, it's amusing. Half of it, I'm just busting the balls of my friends who work at Ibanez. Sup, guys? Anyways, we move. So the very reasonably named GR330EX is an entry-level take on the very metal Iron Label series, so it's all blacked out, all the saturation's been sucked out of the Purple Heart fingerboard. Interesting, that's becoming a more popular rosewood alternative on budget guitars. In a bold marketing move, even the Ibanez logo on the reverse headstock is blacked out. Super fucking metal. And this might look familiar because last year Ibanez dropped the GR131EX exactly the same except for one key difference, the double locking floating trem. We'll come back to that in a second. The other new model is the GRG320FA, also with Purple Heart fingerboards. These are like your classic Geos, but with modern, bright, black Sunburst finishes, black, blue, emerald, red, and violet. Again, notice the theme? Floating trems are back on the Geo line. Oh no, Hunter, you devilishly good-looking fellow, I hear you say. A floating trem on an entry-level guitar? That's a recipe for instant unintentional interpretive tunings. And in a lot of cases, most cases, yeah. Now, I talked to my sources who are familiar with the development of the new Geos. Essentially, like, guys, are you sure this is a good idea? Because my old Squire Showmaster would suggest no. And what they told me is Ibanez is aware that low-end trems can be a problematic area, so they paid extra attention to make sure that the trem is more than usable. They haven't just slapped on a trem to take a box at that price point. That being said, it is still an affordable trem. It's not powered by Unicorn Magic, so you still want to make sure you buy from someplace like Sweetwater, affiliate link below, just saying, that will make sure everything's properly set up. That's just what I was told. I'm still a little skeptical. I have cheap Floyd-related childhood trauma, but I'll be out at NAMM. I'm gonna check out the new Geos in person, see how they hold up, because these look like great candidates for floating trem routed mod projects, especially that purple one, damn. But only if they stay in tune. And by the way, I will have Sweetwater and Toman links to everything I'm talking about in the description, so if you want more info or want to bookmark those for later, if you're picking up strings or whatever, that really helps support the channel. No pressure, but if you decide to do that, really appreciate it. Then moving to the other key standout from the new Ibanez lineup, the Iceman IC-420. Value level Ibanez with a memorable meme name? Say less. Comes in antique blue metallic, antique autumn burst, and in violin sunburst flame. The Iceman was Ibanez's first original shape, launched all the way back in 1975. It was after all the cease and desists, and so they decided they had to go with something that didn't have a chance of getting them in trouble with Fender or Gibson. Safe to say they succeeded, and these are modernized callbacks to those original models, pickup cover engravings and everything. Usually I'm not into the wacky shapes, but for whatever reason I've always loved the Iceman. Maybe it's because of Darren Malakian from System of a Down, maybe it's because for how outrageous the body shape is, it's still got the stylings of a classic Les Paul. Whatever it is, I'm so glad Ibanez has started to bring back non-Paul Stanley signature versions into the main lineup after an extended period of absence. There was last year's super modern metal 7-string Iron Label, and now these more traditional takes. The specs on paper aren't super impressive. Akame body, 3-piece Akame neck, bound Chitoba fingerboard, plastic nut, gross. Ibanez pickups and bridge. I do like that quick change 3 tailpiece though. The main selling point seems to be that the uncommon on-again, off-again Iceman shape is back in the classic 6-string form. It looks good, especially in that blue metallic, and it's not ridiculously expensive. I mean, some of the listings on Reverb are ludicrous, literally just because the Iceman in this traditional inspired form has been out of production since like 2019. And if that doesn't sound like a long time ago, That was 5 years ago, dude. Like, what the fuck? Time is fleeting. Anyways, we move. I've not had an Iceman on the channel yet, never even played one, so especially at this value level price point, the IC-420 is definitely on my must-try list this year. Moving on to the new RGs, let's be honest, it's not a real Ibanez lineup without a new round of RGs. The de facto flagships for the new line, the ones that are in the main promo image, are the RGT1221PB-SWL and the RGT1270PB-CTF. And interestingly, neither are technically new model editions, just new color options. Again, two ridiculous Wi-Fi passwords, and in fact, it turns out that RGT1270PB-CTF% of viewers are not subscribed, so here's your reminder to go and do that and hit the notification bell. We're trying to hit 250,000 subscribers this year. Ambitious, but I believe in us, we can do it. And with NAMM coming up, there's going to be a lot to talk about you really don't want to miss. So the RGT1221PB originally came in Deep Twilight Flat, and I actually think that might have been the flagship of the 2022 lineup, and I remember this was a big deal because they were starting to add stainless steel frets. They're non-AZ Indonesian-made models. Before that, you had to step up to the much more expensive Japanese-made Prestige line. The new one in wine red low gloss is way cooler though. You can see the 7-piece maple walnut neck through construction from the top next to the poplar burl, ebony fingerboard, the inlays with abalone splits, Goto locking tuners. It's almost like a Solar Ibanez fusion. I still don't understand the DiMarzio hype, but it's got a tone zone in the bridge, Air Norton in the neck, and just about a million tone options with the 5-way selector and the alter switch. The RGT1270PB is very similar, except that it has an additional true velvet single coil in the middle and an edge floating tremolo. Now comes in cosmic blue starburst flat. So basically, they're just colorized versions of the old ones, which were already very impressive guitars. Love being able to see the all-natural wood grains, and spec-wise, all the key ingredients for a good time. Speaking of all natural and key ingredients for a good time, I know I'm basically reusing a segue, but it works. We move. Let's take a quick second to thank One Shot Energy for sponsoring today's video. One Shot is revolutionizing the world of health and sustainable energy through their supplement-infused candies. And they're not just a sponsor. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, so their caffeine-free focus chews have been amazing to stay on track, full of vitamins like B6 and B12 and fortified with zinc for a natural energy burst, plus nutritional benefits and immune system support. When you do need that extra juice to get stuff done, One Shot's energy chews have 75 milligrams of pure caffeine and additional nootropics. Love how quick it is to just pop one, get energized, and then get shit done. And unlike an energy drink, One Shot never uses artificial sweeteners or fillers, no excess crap, just energy and focus. And they actually taste good, especially blue raspberry. Let's be real, blue raspberry is always superior. Matt Heafy of Trivium introduced me to One Shot, and together they've just developed some new voice drops for musicians, streamers, anyone who needs to protect their voice. Especially relevant for this video, where Ibanez seems determined to kill my fucking voice with these model names. The voice drops coat your mouth and throat with the soothing and cooling Yutsu lemon flavor. It's awesome. Shivani says my serial killer trait is how many cough drops I go through recording videos sometimes so I don't lose my voice. Brutal call out. So as a content creator, the voice drops are a godsend. And if you hurry and get in for the pre-order, you'll snag a 20% discount. As a channel partner, One Shot is offering you guys an additional 10% off across the site using my code Agufish. Discount stacks so you'll get 30% off the voice drops. If you're a vocalist or you're getting into streaming or content creation, I cannot recommend them enough. Again, link in the description, use code Agufish for your special discount, and of course, clicking it helps support the channel by letting them know that I sent you. And while you're checking that out, let's get back into guitars. So we talked about the RGs at the higher end, everything else is kind of in that value to budget level. The RG470DX comes in Seafoam Green Matte and in Tokyo Drift, Tokyo Midnight, for $499, then a Red Eclipse version with a poplar burl top for $100 more. Again, floating tremolo, but this time an Edge 02. I'm a hardtail or Evertune guy, but I actually hear the Edge 02 is a decently reliable trem. Not amazing, but there was a lot of thought put into it, like hardened steel knife edges, so it's got longevity. And the last in the shape are new RG421 colors. They're hardtails, thank goodness, we found some. Seashore Matte and in Blue Metallic for $379, Mahogany Oil for $349. It's like someone literally carved a guitar out of a coffee table and put strings on it. Kind of love how raw it is. And the last one is in Cerulean Blue Burst for $399. So these are like solid mod to taste workhorse level, and I almost wish they'd stay in the light Jatoba fingerboards because it definitely gives these away as affordable instruments. But I love how Ibanez has been making a point of making these look more interesting with colors and finishes that 10 years ago would not have been possible in this price range. And while the older 421 in Caribbean Burst is still a great color you don't normally get at the affordable level, I am so glad they've gotten rid of the pickup rings and gone direct mounted. Looks cleaner, way more modern. Moving on to the less metally AZs, basically Ibanez's response to Shure and Charvel that's absolutely taken off in the last few years. They've got the roasted maple necks, rounder 12-inch fingerboard radii, stainless steel frets, Go-To hardware and Magnum locking tuners, custom Seymour Duncan pickups. And when they first came out, they had very traditional looks, which was very intentional. These were not your standard super shreddy focused Ibanez. Recently though, Ibanez has been slowly refreshing the lineup, trying to bridge the gap between the original launch AZs and the aesthetics you might expect from modern Ibanez. So the first one, the AZ-24P1QM in Deep Ocean Blonde, is now the only HSS AZ in the Indonesian-made premium lineup. It's still got all the specs and features that made the AZ so popular, but now instead of a natural roasted maple headstock, it's been painted black. This will be a theme with this year's AZs. The next one goes even more modern looking, the HSH AZ-47P1QM, and yeah, that doesn't even look remotely like the original AZs. That's a modern super shredder. Not sure about the zebra pickups, but the ebony fingerboard and gold hardware looks cool with the black ice burst quilt top. This next one though, AZ-42P1 in Prussian blue metallic. Bro, that's literally the RG421EX, but it's an AZ. It is interesting though, because for the first time, the premium line is getting an AZ with the roasted maple neck, the stainless steel frets and everything, but with a rosewood fingerboard. They've done one $2,000 Prestige, I think, but rosewood with stainless steel frets is a pretty uncommon combo of vintage and traditional spec, which fits the AZ line super well. I'm trying to think of another production guitar with rosewood and stainless steel, and the only other ones that come to mind are Fender's American Ultralux Strat and Telly, and those started $2,600. So at about half that, and with a roasted maple neck, this Ibanez AZ is more interesting than it first seems. Then only 7-string, which is a crazy thing to say about a new Ibanez lineup, like only one 7-string. We'll talk more about that point later. But it's the AZ-427P2QM. God damn it, Ibanez, you're fucking killing me. Again, same theme, much more modern looking compared to the previous versions. And actually, if you look through the AZ lineup, the only traditional looking ones left are on the Prestige side. Maybe they wanted to differentiate themselves further from Shure's and the countless other similar looking guitars, but the premiums have been completely replaced with these Ibanez-ass looking Ibanez versions. It's a bold call. Looking like everyone else wasn't super interesting, but it also helped attract people who wouldn't normally look at Ibanez just because of the perception of the name on the headstock. Speaking of attracting new people, specifically new players, the budget version AZ Essentials has gotten an update, just a couple of new colors this time around. The AZ ES31, the triple single version, now comes in Arctic Ocean Metallic, and the AZ ES40, the HSS version, now comes in Tungsten. Love a good metallic budget guitar. I've demoed the AZ ES40, I've actually still got mine in mint green, and no joke, I prefer the general feel, like the 25-inch scale length, the 10-inch fingerboard radius, and the thicker neck, over standard Ibanez spec. It's like an Ibanez AZ combined with a PRS. It's pretty dope and unique in the Ibanez lineup in that way. The super thin S series has 2 new additions. The standard series S770, very modern blue poplar burl theme on both the front and the back, roasted maple neck, DiMarzio pickups. I mean, it seems like a pretty fun guitar for under $1,000. And then the higher end premium series S1070 PBZ has gone kind of the opposite direction of the RGs, where it was first available in Cerulean Blue Burst, and then this year Ibanez sucked all the saturation out with this year's Charcoal Burst. Cool specs though, an utterly insane 11-piece Panga Panga maple walnut Babinga neck, rosewood fingerboard with pearl dots and stainless steel frets, DiMarzio pickups, Go-To tuners. If you've never played an S-Series guitar, they are absolutely bizarre. They look normal from the front, but coming from the world of Les Pauls, they're so thin, it's like playing a 2-dimensional guitar, like a picture of an Ibanez. Then the general perception of Ibanez Electrics is that they only do metal stuff, and while that's definitely the focus, they've also added 2 very old school Hollowbodies at that value $600 and $700 level. The double cut AS93BC and the single cut AG95K. Don't really know what to say about these. They look like they blues good. Anyways, let's move to basses, and this is where I always get a little bit salty. What's going on here? How come Ibanez's basses are always so much cooler than what's going on with the guitars. Like, look at these from the SR series. That Caribbean green colored top, but then you can see the back colors start to surround the top, mahogany and flame maple stripe, flame maple fingerboard, 5-piece Panga Panga purple heart neck with titanium reinforcement. That's so sick. What the fuck? Where's the guitar version? Or this one in silver blizzard matte with a matching headstock. You're telling me this wouldn't be sick on an RG? I mean, I know that's the 25th anniversary special version, but the point still stands. I mean, the bass department borrows ideas from the guitar department. These SR multiscales in the blue chameleon flip-flop finish have Fishman fluence bass pickups with brushed chrome covers, kind of like the RG Prestige Evertune in Polar Lights flip-flop finish. I'm not a bass player at all, but damn, every year Ibanez kind of makes me wish I was. And then I'm not going to cover all the acoustics, but this is worth noting. Ibanez is building on the surprise success of their thin body nylon string electrics. The FR10N, the kind of stripped down bass model one of Tim Henson of Polyphia's signatures is based on, is apparently selling quite well because it's gotten 2 new colors, indigo blue metallic flat and rose gold metallic flat. That's pretty cool. Very modern colors, where the 2 original colors were much more traditional acoustic finishes. And rumor has it, when Tim Henson asked Ibanez if they do a signature nylon Acoustic-Electric, Ibanez said no. I guess they didn't see much of a market for it. So Tim was like, okay, I guess I'll do that with another company then. And Ibanez went, you know what? Maybe we can try it. We can bring that shape back. The TOD-10N goes on to be one of their best-selling guitars of the year. The FRH-10N has been back-ordered into oblivion as well. They're doubling the colors in the lineup. Things seem to have worked out. All I'm saying, man, regardless of how you feel about the music or their image, if you don't understand the massive influence Polyphia has right now in the guitar world alone, you're not paying attention. And Ibanez hasn't stopped with guitars. They've dropped a new line of acoustic-electric ukuleles. I don't know anything about ukuleles. They don't make evil sounds, only happy sounds. Gross. But this AU line caught my attention because clearly something very different is going on here. All this crazy beveling on the front and on the back for playability and comfort. No sound hole in the middle, but 2 carves either side of the strings have hidden stereo sound ports. Built-in preamp with an onboard tuner, and there's a 6-string version, which is like the ukulele equivalent of an 8-string, I guess. Okay, why not? A viewer said it before, apparently a prereq to work at Ibanez is mild clinical insanity. And the last thing I wanted to point out that's flying under a lot of radars is it's the Tubescreamer, the legendary TS-808's 45th birthday. And to celebrate, they're dropping a limited edition Sapphire Sparkle version. And I mean, damn, 45 years and it's still one of the dependable go-to gold standard boosts everything else is compared to. Okay, so what are the key takeaways? It's not the most interesting Ibanez drop ever. The Iceman and the new Geos are definitely the standouts, but it's pretty telling when the leading promo images are reskinned existing models. That being said, Ibanez doesn't tend to do the Schecter thing where new models are drip-fed a few at a time over the course of the year, and at least last year I remember the vibe around the initial Ibanez reveal was also pretty disappointing. But it turned out that they didn't just announce all their new stuff at the beginning of the year in one go. They used to, but this time they did multiple medium drops, which is better because it means there's a shorter time between announcement and when you can actually buy. And last year, the later year drops were more interesting. From the relatively small number of new officially announced 2024 models, I would not be surprised to see the same thing play out this year. I mean, no new Prestiges, no new modern metal focused iron labels or Axion labels. Last year they made a huge deal about the Axe Design Lab. No way they've just all abandoned that. No new signatures either. Tim Henson has repeatedly hinted at a Prestige signature. Every year there's always something Vi or Satriani or Gilbert related. I mean, that alone, no new signature guitars is a dead giveaway there's more to come from Ibanez this year. It's also interesting, Ibanez was on the bleeding edge of the extended range movement, they were leading the charge with multiscales, and this time, nothing, at least on the guitar side. Well, besides that one 7-string. Basses, you do have quite a few, and even headless, but at least for now, the guitars are kind of on the more conservative side. Interesting modern finishes in some cases, but 6-string, single scale length, most of these are exactly what you'd expect Ibanez to do. At least most are under $1,000, which given how crazy guitar prices have been, it's good to see them focus on quality options in the attainable price ranges. Are the wacky, reinvented acoustic electric ukuleles the most interesting part of the early 2024 Ibanez drop? Could be. But that's just me. Here's where I'll throw it to you. What do you think of Ibanez's initial 2024 lineup, whether it's guitars, basses, ukuleles, any and all thoughts? I'd love to know what you're thinking. Massive shout out to my amazing patrons. Their names are up on the screen right now. Consider joining the Patreon community if you want to directly support what I do, as well as get bonus extras. You can also join as a channel member or pick up some merch. That all helps out. Social media, Discord, and affiliate links to everything we talked about are in the description. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you for the next video.